building, I'll say. So okay, so one thing I'll do, I'll share one screen, I'll share one link with you guys, so that over there you guys can give me a bit of your feedbacks, and so that we can have a interaction over there. Okay, so let me share. Will it be fine if I paste it in the comment box, so that you guys can take it from there, so that I'll also have a brief idea like how many of you have joined and you are from which background, so accordingly. Okay, I have pasted a link. Can you guys see in the chat box?
Yes, Kushal.
Yeah, so I want you all to go to that particular link, and then there is a small questionnaire. Like, there is a small questionnaire that will ask about from which branch you all are. So that will be helpful for me to take the interaction further accordingly. So I'll just say, I'll give you a minute, and then I'll ask you all to just go and give your feedbacks quite fast. Will it be fine?
Kushal, most of the students are from CSC, EC, IT, and hopefully ME.
Okay. Okay, that's great, sir. So we have from ACIT. Okay, fine then. I have idea now. So I'll start again by sharing my screen again, and I won't be making it any kind of presentation, something like I'll be giving you a presentation and where you'll see the things. No, it won't be like that. Don't worry. It will be a totally interactive one. So I'll say, let's start with a question like, how many of you are known of like how a project is built? Like, when we talk about small project, let's start with a small project instead of going for a bigger organization or a distributed system. Let's start with a small project. So any idea do you guys have, like, how the small project is being started from scratch? I'll love any sort of comment, whether if you want to speak or if you want to paste it in the chat section. That's totally fine. Any answer from you guys? I guess there are almost we have 58 participants. Oh, we have 61. That's quite great. Okay, that's no issues. I can relate it to when I was also at your age. Even I used to have this kind of small fear that lets others say. Okay, so I'll say, see, how the project start is, you might be from your first year, you might be from your final year student. I don't know. I mean, it's quite generic, as sir already mentioned. So since I am from CSE background and I'm from IT background, working in an IT company, so I'll say I'll talk more about the IT projects. So let me give you a brief. It starts with requirement gathering. As you all know, like, we have business rules, we have business requirements. So based on that, it starts with the requirement gathering. And how it happens is that there are a team of, we call it as a business analyst. So what they do, they interact with the client. They mainly go on conversation. It can be a phonetic conversation. It can be a one-to-one meeting, and they start with the interaction with the client. Client just put their whatever they have, their requirement, whatever they are facing, their problem, their challenges, to the business analyst team. That particular team is mainly responsible to look into the client's issues, problems, and they then, what they do is they project a solution to the client. Now it totally depends upon the client, that whether they are quite means satisfied with the solution provided. So once they have a solution provided to them, they just uh, like post a request to the service provider, like, okay, fine, this is the request, this is our requirement, we need a product, a software, a tool, a website, an app, or an enterprise application, on this particular thing, and I want that particular company to design this particular whole thing for me in this particular stipulated amount of time. So that's how it works. So this is how requirement gathering works, and we do have like agile methodologies and all that you will get to know when you will start working, when you'll start learning and going into higher classes. So it's not like once the requirement has been gathered and it's all with us. No, it's not like that. Requirement keeps on changing in a form of, like, we can say, you might have studied about SDLC phases. So there are changes keeps on happening, and accordingly we used to develop that particular product. Once the product is being developed, so again in the development phase, what we require is we require to select the particular technology, that this particular technology we need, these are the technology that will fulfill our need at the best, because there are ample of technologies. If I talk about web development, so we have like Java is there, PHP is there, there is .NET. These all are server side languages. If I talk about like databases, so it depends upon the requirement. We can go for normal relational databases. I guess this much you guys are familiar about. So, or else we can go for graph-based databases, like we say Neo4j, that is mainly used for AI and machine learning thing. And we can also go for NoSQL databases. We have Postgres, we have MongoDB, we have Cassandra, and all these multiple lot of databases. I'll say when you start working on projects, when you come into the market, you'll get to know that there are so many tools, so many products out there, that sometimes it becomes difficult that okay, this particular tool we should choose. But again, since the requirement is being gathered in a way that's quite clear, and it helps us in selecting the particular tool. So we select particular technology, we select particular tool. On the basis of those like requirement, we start the development process, and that's how the development goes on. Once there is a stipulated time, as I already mentioned, the client has got their deadlines. So what we do is we develop the project, then we give it to the testing team. So the testing is basically one of the major part, I'll say, because we are going to deliver it to some of the client, and we cannot simply randomly go and say okay, this is the product, because we are somehow credible to that product. We have our credibility behind that product. If we give anything wrong, our credibility will be hampered. So what is there, that is testing. So rigorous testing is being done. One unit testing is being done from the developer end. There are a lot of, again I'll say, testing tools, like we have JUnit, we have Mockito, where we mock the objects, where we try to create, I'll say, the kind of request that the user will be hitting onto the website. We check on the load of that particular website. We check whether that particular functionality will be able to check for the load. This is, I'm saying, after the development. And the way I'm saying, you might feel that it's quite a easy flow, easy process, but there are a hell lot of things, I'll say, involved in between the process. So don't take it lightly. I'll go in deeper one by one. We have quite a time, and it's gonna be a fruitful discussion with you all guys, because you'll get to know a lot of things. Whichever year you are, quite of your perception towards the technology, towards your building profile will change. We'll see it later throughout the session. So we are here with the testing part. Now, once the testing is being done, the client again checks the product, and again we have to satisfy the client. That's how we generate money. Because until this client is not happy, he's not going to pay us a single penny, and all the work what we did will go in vain. So what we do is the client checks the product, whether it's up to their requirement or not. So once they agree to the product, it's been delivered to their environment. So how it happens that it's not only one server on which, like, I guess you might be having a brief idea, like what is a server, why do we host a website? Because that's again, I'll say, not that much difficult concept, but again one of the important concept that is required in the web development, because that picture need to be clear that what we are doing onto the server. So if I explain you in a small thing, then I'll say it's again a CPU without a monitor. Like server, that's the easiest definition. Like it's a CPU without a monitor. So on that particular CPU, What we do is we just install our web app, whatever we have developed. It can be in an exe format, it can be in an war format, jar format, ample of formats are there. So what we do, we have multiple servers because we cannot directly put anything onto the user. Let's suppose, let's take an example of a banking application, so that the picture gets more clear, whatever I have spoken till now, so that you get a clear picture that, okay, these are the particular things and these are the things that are there involved in the development process. I guess you guys are there. You guys are not bored with my constant tone. I guess you guys are, and hope you guys are enjoying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I'll say in between, wherever you find that this particular thing is not getting clear to you, or don't do not hesitate, just stop me there itself. So, because see, it's not, I'm not taking any class or I'm not taking any session that will help you in your exam. Okay, this gonna be beneficial for you when you start working in an company, I must say, or when you start your own company, who knows, right? I wish to see a lot of you guys who should start their own company, come up with their own product. That's one of the thing that, like, it's easy for IT people to start a company, I must say, and a lot of people are working on that. Okay, so just stop me there. So I was giving you an example of a banking application. So let's suppose, let's take an example. I want a form. That form has got a UI because that's quite visible to you. So I want to develop a form. The client has given me, let's suppose the SBI bank has given me a requirement. Like we need a form where the user will come and put their data, and on the basis of that particular data, what we are going to do is we are going to uh, just get the data and open the account for that particular user. So I guess the requirement is quite clear to you guys. Okay,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Okay, I take it as a yes. Okay, so what happens is that we have to develop a form. The form has got their own fields that we are going to talk in the development phase. So we take that particular form, and the best technology suited for that particular form, the right moment will be like, if we have HTML for the UI part, because they have their own tags that makes development of form quite easy. And for styling, we'll be going for CSS. If we want to, since it's a form, definitely we'll be wanting some validation over there. So we'll go for JavaScript. And let's take it quite simple, because these are the three things we'll be using there. I guess you guys are quite familiar with HTML, CSS, JavaScript by now. And if not, no worries, it's quite easy. Once you'll and whatever I'm saying now, try to keep a notepad along with you and write it down, because a lot of terminologies I'll be using that will be quite new to you guys. I don't know which year you are, because if you are in first year, I guess understanding validation, understanding JavaScript, use for validation will be difficult to you, I guess. But I assume you guys have that much of knowledge. So if not, you just write it in the notepad and you can contact me anytime to discuss. But I'll say, before reaching out to me, do it yourself, do Google yourself, because that will give you more of, I'll say, clear perception. So we had like, we took HTML, CSS, JavaScript for a form development. Now we start the development process. The development process has got a lot of things. So we developed a form. Now users say that we cannot go and give this form. Like, it's not, we are not living in that trivial age, right? Medieval age, where we go and distribute a form and ask for, like, please fill this form with your details, and we collect that form. Again, we go to our office, we punch those data into the system, and then we start calling people for, okay, you want to open your account. So it's not like we are not living in a trivial age. So we are living, since we are in 21st century. So what we do is we put this form onto a particular location, and we say that, okay, this is the form. Now everyone whosoever wants to open their account, please come here, fill up your details, and we'll help you out. So that's what I was saying, that we have developed the form on the basis of requirement. Now that putting of the form onto a place where everybody can access is what we do on the server side. So we have multiple servers because we cannot directly put the form onto the to the user. What we do is we first put it onto various servers. The production server is one of the things that you might be hearing, like you will be hearing quite a lot when you'll come into the development process. So there are, one is the development server, on the server on which the development work happens. Like if you, I must say, like development server sometimes is the developer's laptop or developer system. And then again we move on to it's a process wise, we move on to one server, then another server, then another server, and finally we go on to the production server. So you might have heard a lot of times that you might be getting messages that banking system, that we are undergoing some sort of upgradation and you won't be able to access your account or any sort of transaction between in the night from 11 p.m. to morning again, I must say 5 a.m., something like that. So you must be getting those messages, I guess. Bank people do. So what happens in that particular time period? Like what they do is they just go and upload the whatever the developed thing they have developed, like whatever the product has been developed or whatever functionality they have enhanced. So what they do is they go and put all these things onto the production server, and that's where we access that particular application. Like we go to our banking application, we log in, we type the details, and these all things are being processed. Those all things are being processed on the production server. So this was a brief idea about the software development phases, I must say, and that you might have read by now in your curriculum, or you will be studying later in the coming semesters or year. So that's how the development work happens. Now, coming on to that, I said like development is there and we are quite all excited that, oh cool, then that's quite fascinating, that's quite cool thing to do, and we all will be developing there. So I even once when I joined TCS, that was my first company and I got placed from college, so I was thankful to Oriental. So what I did after that, like I was put into a project that was of a telecom domain. So telecom domain, again, what you must be doing, that you might be using routers at your home. So to check the speed, there is a website called Ookla, speed test, right? So what you do is you just click on a go button, and what it does is it sends a signal to your router. It's checked for the speed, like whatever the speed is there, brings back the data, and it gives to you. Okay, so this was a quite a small thing, but what project I worked on was like it's a hosted OSS and BSS services. If you'll Google it, you'll find it there. A lot of things about hosted OSS and BSS. So I guess that's none of your concern as of now. But if you are quite interested, you can Google it. So what we used to do over there, we had like TCS is having a product, and what it do, it goes and hits each and every device. Like while traveling on when you travel to some new place, you might be seeing lot of devices, telecom devices. Some are buried inside, some are hanging here and there, some cylindrical shape, some I'll say box shape, some rectangular shape. Lot of devices when you might be traveling to one place to another. In between you might be finding on the roadside. So it's not like it only is kept there. It goes, it hits that particular device and it generates the details. Okay, so this was one thing. This was so hitting those particular device. So we have lot of APIs. Okay, now API, again, you need to Google it, because I know it's a quite a new term for you, maybe new term, or maybe you guys might be familiar with it. So application programming interface. So we have lot of APIs. What those APIs do, they go and hit onto the device. That's quite easy. You need not to worry about, okay, fine, we are hitting a device. How come a website can hit a device that's a physical thing, and a software which is a, I'll say, virtual thing? So there are a lot of SMTP connections. There are a lot of TCP connections. When you look into the networking part, when you look into the OSI level layers, when you look into the TCP IP model, so we have like IP headers are there. Based on that, what we do is we just hit that particular device. IP plays a great role in hitting a device. So SMTP server is there, FTP server is there. So based on that, what we used to do is we used to collect the particular data of each and every device. Now we have the data. Now what's the relevance of data? Again, since see, you cannot being a computer science, being in technology field, you cannot skip without data. Like everything is data to at least in today's world where everything is data driven. Everything like from, I'll say, from a needle to, like, if you go to the aeroplane, everything is data driven. Even the needle company who manufactures data relies on who manufactures needle relies on the data, whether their needle is up to date or not, whether they are putting their best effort to generate that particular needle, how much their sale is, how much they need to produce more. So I'll say everything is in today's time, we have what we have is data. So I'll say do study data well, do study databases well. Don't only restrict yourself to relational databases, explore more, go for NoSQL, go for I'll say graph database, Neo4j. That's quite trending in today's world, at least in India, I must say, because it's trending in US quite 5 years back, which comes later to India. So it happens that way. So I'll say do research on them. Data plays a quite a great role. So what we used to do, we used to fetch all those data, and based on that, we used to generate a graph and give it to our client, whether they used to get okay fine, these are the data and this much of our device is active, this much is the load on that particular device. So they get a perception that okay fine, this area is having more load, so we need more devices in this particular area. That's how they used to improve their service on their end. Like we might be facing earlier, like sometime when I was in college, so there we had like even Geo was launched newly that time. So even the Oriental was quite outskirts, so we did not have any tower that time. So we had very less network connectivity. But soon we had a tower, as you might have seen, it's just outside the college. So we got everything fine then after that. But again, I'll say that phone was not allowed. Still, somehow we used to manage that everybody knows. So just keeping all those fun time apart. So that's how they planned their devices depending upon, and that's how they work on data. So I'll say, starting with perception, I have given you a perception about like what we have in our software development like technologies that we use and all. So this is how industry works. Okay. Now, where do we fit in that particular industry? Okay, there are a lot of things. So where we do fit, like we as a student, we as an employee, we as a higher management, we as a business person, where do we fit in that particular industry? That's more of important for you guys to know, because that's how you will be working. Now see, again, what I'm doing is I'm giving you data. Okay, that these are the data, like these are the things that are relevant in the market. Hello, are you guys facing any issue with the
यार वो चल रही है सुना था उसको उनका बंद कर दिया दूसरा
hello? Yeah, I
Yes,
can
Kush,
I can say.
everything is fine. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. I'll again start. So yeah. So I was saying that whatever I'm doing is I'm giving you data. Okay. So like these are the data. These are the things where you need to work on your own, and where once you start working on those things, you'll eventually get to land in a good company, in a good your desired role, the role you desired to be. I hope so. So see, this was one of the development part. Now again comes like, what if the product is already developed? We have a developed product, and the product is already developed, and the client wants that okay fine, somebody need to monitor that particular thing, right? That this is a particular thing and somebody have to monitor it. So they have their support team again. So that's again a support part. So people do work over there. It's not like that's again a bad job. It's again a good job, but depends upon how much exposure you are getting and what is your aspiration onto that. So I'll say there are a lot of trending technologies you need to learn. You need to learn on. I'll say do participate in lot of hacker rank tests. Okay, because that is one thing. Hacker rank, hacker earth, lead code. These are the things that you need to participate. You need to practice because coding is one thing. Because means even I was there at your age. I used to like go to the labs only just for when we had summer, like because the AC was on there, and apart from that, we used to have a good fun time. But I'll say do not do these things. Just go and practice quite rigorously because that's one thing you'll improve, and it's quite easy to land up in a company like Amazon because they have lot of hirings. You need to be, I'll say, make your competencies high. Like, do focus on data structures. That's one thing that no one can help you without it. Data structure is one of the thing because in the development process, what is mostly required is a data structure. And do study, don't hesitate studying tree and graph. I must say, because we do study in data structures that stack linked list, but when it comes to tree and graph, we skip that particular topic, we leave that particular topic. So I'll say do study tree and graph rigorously. Wherever and whenever you find out, do reach me out, do reach out your faculties, do Google it on yourself. I've already shared my LinkedIn and my website, so you can find my details over there. I have quite I have been quite being there, like I'm quite active over there. And apart from that data structures, I'll say go for databases. Don't directly rush for any language. Like going for language, learning for language will just give you an added advantage. But again, if you want to go for company like Amazon, company like Google, and company like Adobe is one of the company that is quite known for its recruitment process. And I'll say there is a website called Geeks for Geeks. Okay, Geeks for Geeks is again it should be your one of the I'll say bookmarked website in your browser, and bookmark it, keep on visiting it. You'll find a lot of questionnaires, lot of ways to go and crack interviews. So Adobe is one thing, so you can go there and try logging in and doing things. Apart from that, I'll say DBMS is one thing you should be quite familiar with. SQL, NoSQL, do learn these things because these things are quite in demand in the market. And apart from that, there is one thing called system design. Now, that's one thing that we rarely come to know in our college days. At least I was unaware of that thing, system design. So I'll put more emphasis on system designing. So do note it down somewhere that these three things like data structures, DBMS, and system design, like these three things you need to study very well. Keep Java aside, keep PHP aside, .NET aside, Angular aside, whatever you are learning. Just focus on these three things: data structures, DBMS, and system design. Because the system design is one thing that will give you exposure towards the industry project, like how the projects are being deployed in the industry. What are the various modules? What are the databases? What are load balancers? What are cluster management? What is cluster management? How Kafka is being deployed? How Redis is used? So you'll get to know these things, lot of things. How AWS is there. Now again, cloud, I'll say, like if you can learn anything on cloud, do go for it. I still remember Pankaj sir used to teach us cloud computing in college, and it was one of the like best thing that he taught us. And I am quite finding that helpful nowadays, at least when I'm deploying things on cloud server. So do go for free courses. There are a lot of website. I will mention few. Like there is one LinkedIn Learning. That's quite great. Their content is quite decent, so you can go for LinkedIn Learning. I'll say just note it down somewhere because you might forget or miss something. And Plural Site. There is one website called Plural Site. Now they have got their good content. They had a free week, like free month actually, April, and I have acquired quite certifications on there. I could not share this with you quite early, otherwise you could have also. They had a free month, and also you can go for Lead Code. There is Hacker Rank. There is Hacker Earth. Do participate in competitive programming, and if you find any issue while participating in getting like how we can go and how we can log in and how to do things, you can contact me or your faculty or Google it simply. That's quite easiest way, I'll say, because uh, Google is our the only teacher that we trust on. So I'll say do go there, do write code. Lead Code is having. I'll suggest you. Lead Code is having 1 month free programming for competitive programming, and you guys are in lockdown. Even I am. So I'll say that's quite a one thing you can utilize your time at the best and go and start programming. That's quite easy. You need not to do anything. You just write. There is one thing, one more thing, like Scalar Academy. You might have heard of it. So Scalar Academy is there. That's again, they have also got a good content, good methodologies over there. So I'll say, instead of I won't say do not target companies like TCS, Cognizant or something. They are quite a good company. Even I was fortunate to go there, and I have been working on projects that has given me a lot of exposure. But I'll say start targeting for Amazon, Google, Microsoft, because it's quite Adobe. There is Cisco, there is Sienna, there is a lot of companies are there in the market. So once when you start exploring, you'll find your curriculum to be irrelevant, because I frankly say that whatever we read at college, I'll say that remains at college. You do not take it to the company. So for company, as I already mentioned, data structures, DBMS, and system design. Like, do focus on. I'll say leave data structure DBMS that you will read, but do search, at least search for system design. What is system design? That will give you a clear picture. Like we do have, like we do not see the things, so you'll be able to visualize that particular thing. Like, okay, these are the few components that are used in a project. So do look for system design. And also I'll say, like, data is there, so go for AI, go for cloud computing. And I would love to see few of the work from you guys. You can tag me anywhere. You can tag me on LinkedIn, you can tag me on Twitter, you can tag me on Facebook. Just search my name. I guess you might have seen me, so you'll be able to find me over there. So just you can go there and start doing it. Okay. So I hope that was it from my side. I have already explained you the development process, the industrial perspective, and now you might be having a clear idea that what you should do to develop a resume that is required for the companies. Because I have already mentioned the point that you need to focus more and more. And in the end, like I'll say, nothing, you cannot achieve anything. Like I'll say you can become what shall I say? It won't be helpful. Means I'll say until unless you do not practice on your own, nothing gonna make difference. So I'll say start writing code. Start with small programs.